21st race of the year, and it comes at the 2-mile super speedway, Michigan International Raceway. The Xfinity Series about to take on those 2 miles for practice and qualifying. We set the field for tomorrow afternoon's race. A gorgeous view there as we see some of the drivers getting ready to climb in behind the wheel. Rick Allen, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Jarrett with you for this practice and qualifying session. Kim Kuhn will be on pit road taking care of all of the storylines that are taking place. And DJ, you have won here 4 times. The speed at this racetrack, can you explain it? What it feels like behind the wheel going around this track?
Yeah, well, let me say first, this was my favorite place to race. You know, there were other places I like to win, but I like to win here too. But it was my favorite actual racetrack. Part of it because of the level of skill that you have to have as a driver, the level of commitment that you have to have, and the nerve that you have to go the speeds that you go around this track. And I don't care if it's an Xfinity car, Cup car, you're going to be fast, and it's going to give you that feeling of speed pretty much more than anywhere else that we race.
So, Junior, he mentioned commitment. Is there momentum, and does Sam Mayer have that commitment maybe to go back-to-back after he got his first win a week ago?
Well, I'm certainly thinking Sam drives like a different driver going forward after getting that first Xfinity win last week. But the 2 guys that I'm focusing on right now as we move forward through this series, through this year, heading toward the championship playoff, is John Hunter Nemechek and Austin Hill, 2 guys that have sort of separated themselves from the rest of the field, 4 wins apiece. We're waiting for someone to sort of break out and stand above the rest of the competition, and that's 2 drivers that I got my eye on this weekend.
Should be strong. We'll see who the fastest is in practice and then qualifying. That's all coming up from right here at Michigan International Speedway. Cars lined up and about to roll off of pit road. Again, they'll have 20 minutes on track, and they'll try to get it dialed in to their liking as well as what they think will happen when they race tomorrow. You see the flags flying. Wind might be a factor as well. Let's go to pit road and Kim Kuhn.
Well, Rick, Michigan International Speedway magnifies the race cars and the setup these teams bring to the track. And one team that was very confident in their setup is the team of Josh Berry. Crew Chief Taylor Moyer told me, rewind to Pocono 2 weeks ago. He said those long straightaways, there's a lot of carryover from that race to this race in terms of setup. And think about it. He said, we won practice, we won the pole, we won both stages. We did everything but win that actual race. We are so confident in the things we have carried over from Pocono to Michigan. Our goal this weekend is to make every other team in the garage second guess their setup.
Okay. That's a good goal. I think maybe a mindset changed for Josh Berry probably 2-3 weeks ago. It seemed as though, and they're focused. We know they're focused, but we also know that Josh Berry is going to be running in the Cup Series next year. But I think the expectations for Josh Berry and that 8 team have always been that we thought he was going to go out and win races and be, you know, so competitive. But it changed about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where now it is. We do see that 8 car Josh Berry up front competing for wins every week.
Yeah, there was a lot of frustration within this team. Obviously, I have an inside look into what goes on with these programs at Junior Motorsports every single week, and they were very frustrated with the lack of wins, especially Josh feeling a lot of pressure having announced the deal going to Cup next year. Felt like he wasn't performing like that type of caliber driver, and they did buckle down and got themselves some good speed in their cars. I think Junior Motorsports as a whole is a lot faster over the last couple of weeks. We'll see if that continues. But Pocono was an incredible week for this team, just to be able to go out there and show the speed they had. But again, you know, didn't capture the win, didn't win the race. So still feeling that pressure of trying to get to victory circle before the end of this year is out.
All right, guys, should I be concerned or should they be concerned? Did you guys see the tire rub there when they were going through 1 and 2? Some smoke coming off the left side?
Yeah, well, let's see if it continues to do that. Then it would be a concern.
Yeah, just very, very faintly right at the...
That left front, is that, I mean, do you concern yourself about that, or is that?
I would if it was a steel body car. With the composite body, I'm not too concerned about it. You'll see if it might work its way out. If it continues to be an issue, you know, you're definitely going to have to make adjustments and come to pit road and But you usually don't see tire rubs with this car in the composite body. We usually don't have, we have enough clearance all the way around where we're not really ever seeing any tire rubs. So that's a bit surprising to see it. But with this composite body, I'm not too concerned.
Yeah, we'll see this time. I was looking out the windows. We were showing the replay there, and I didn't see it in his second lap, and I don't see any smoke there either. So,
and it might have not been a tire rub. Could have been, you know, brake fluid or something like that. You wouldn't think there'd be enough temperature in any of the components on the race car to create that kind of smoke on the first lap, but certainly something to keep an eye on.
Simi Smith in the 18. Joe Gibbs Racing out on track, and right now the fastest, you see the speed over 184 miles an hour, as that is the average that he's turning around this 2-mile track.
Yeah, this is a fast racetrack, and right now you see the different color in the asphalt up in the higher grooves of the turns. That's where the resin is on the racetrack, where there'd be a little more additional grip for these cars should they go up there and use it. Right now you see Sammy down at the bottom, lower end of the track, that is not treated, so that's the traditional surface of the racetrack where they're choosing to run right now. But we will see if this track widens out in the race. Cars start moving up the racetrack, providing us with multiple grooves. You said it at the start of the show, DJ. This is a fun racetrack to race on. You got a lot of options in the corners, and if you have a fast car and your motor shop does their homework, you can come out here and enjoy going around the racetrack and beating up on the competition.
Yeah.
And you've definitely been in some cars that have been pretty amazing here, and just a track that, you know, it's about everything at this racetrack: horsepower, handling, the driver, all of the parts and components that matter play an equal part, if you will, at this racetrack. Whereas other places, the car's more important, the driver's more important, or motor is more important. This is really a place where it all comes together.
We're looking at the one of Sam Mayer, and DJ, you had a front row seat from last week at Road America, and how he ended up in victory lane. Probably one of the more incredible lap and a half into the race that I had seen.
Yeah, you know, there were just so many things. I mean, he was off the course there as we saw that, and so, I mean, it was just amazing, the drivers that were right up front just trying so hard. You know, so many of them trying to get that first win, and just when you thought that they were there, and for Sam to come back after down in, I think it was turn 12, that he got off there making a pass for the lead. I wasn't sure that this young man was going to be able to gather it back up in that short amount of time. And then, of course, he went on and passed Parker Kligerman to get that first win. And just shows you that, you know, we've seen the talent that is there. And then to be able to take that, and when you thought that he was going to be once again disappointed, but yet come back and win, showed me a lot about the potential for him.
That was massively nerve-wracking for me. And especially
went off track.
So you could hear the tires squealing and chirping on all the cars as they went through the corner. And when your car wasn't on the screen, maybe the car you're pulling for as a fan or whatever, and you hear those noises, you're like, who's spinning out?
Yeah.
I hope it ain't my guy. It sounded like somebody was spinning off the track every corner with the way those tires were squealing.
It was a crazy end to the race, but it was the first win for the 20-year-old from Franklin, Wisconsin, who grew up just 7 miles from Road America, getting his first win. Get amazing deals at the NASCAR shop. You can check out the greatest selection of t-shirts and hats, die-cast, and much, much more. Visit NASCAR.com/shop today. We ride along with Ty Gibbs, back behind the wheel of the 19, last year's champion in the Xfinity Series. And when a Cup driver comes back and runs in the Xfinity Series, as an Xfinity Series driver, are you looking forward to that, to compare yourself to one of the best who's done it?
I think you always are excited to, when you're a young driver like a Sammy Smith, for example, you love the opportunity to be on the racetrack with those guys. There's no other way that you'll get that experience to be able to compete with them. And so I think that, you know, when I was younger, even though he always won, I did like being on the same track as Mark Martin.
Yep.
And being able to watch how he entered the corner, watch how he approached practice, all the things. You learn not just how to do certain things on the racetrack, but how to approach the weekend, the work ethic and the focus and what you needed to worry about, what mattered. And those drivers are also easy to access in those moments, right? Where else are you going to be able to really go up to Ty Gibbs or Ross Chastain and ask them questions? Well, right now, while you're around, either before or after this practice, they're here.
Yeah.
And this is fresh on their mind, what they're doing. And you can say, hey, I'm having an issue. How can you help me here? And you'll often get some really good information, whereas that's hard to seek out otherwise.
Yeah. When I came along when the Busch Series, Xfinity Series started in 1982, racing week in and week out at the short tracks in particular with Sam Arden, Jack Ingram, and Tommy Houston, Tommy Ellis, Bob Presley, just go on down the line. You learned a lot from those guys. But when we came to the bigger tracks and Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, Terry Labonte, these guys showed up, that's where you really learned. And if it wouldn't have been for that and the learning experience that you got, and you talked about being able to go to those guys, you could go to them and they would tell you, because they knew you couldn't do what they were doing anyway, but it gave you a direction that you could go to try to get better. And, having my own team, yeah, it was costing me money because they were taking, 1, 2, 3, 4 spots away. But the information that I was able to gather, and then as I got better and better and running closer to them, all of that is what made me a better race car driver.
It seems actually to work out for both of you, since you're both in the Hall of Fame, by the way.
Well, I also think that, that made me think back to the years when we would have 15 to 20 Cup regulars racing at a Charlotte race. Yeah. And if you were a Xfinity regular and placed anywhere in the middle, that you stood out in those moments to other people in the Cup garage, owners and so forth. When you could run 7th in a 15-car Cup field, right? If you got 15 Cup drivers out there and you can run in the top 10 with them boys, people are like, hey man, this guy might be Cup ready. Somebody I need to pay more attention to at least, right? That's how you put yourself in that. You put yourself on the minds and the thoughts of all those Cup owners looking for drivers.
Riding along right now with the 7 of Justin Allgaier, and he's the fastest as far as for a lap. He's gone over 185 miles an hour for an average around this racetrack.
And you see the different lanes through turn 3 and 4. He had to lift a little bit right there. The seams don't bother you a ton at this racetrack. You kind of prefer not to run on seams at any racetrack, but these are probably, we talk about them all the time at Fontana and Atlanta, old Atlanta and other places. They're not that bothersome here, but there is a banking difference. That bottom is a little flatter than the middle, and there's more increased banking, I think, as you go up the racetrack. It's very, very slight, but it can make a difference in the balance.
The look, if you're looking down on this racetrack and California, Auto Club Speedway, they look alike. Do they race anything alike?
No.
Nothing?
They couldn't be more different than night and day. I mean, seriously, if that's a comparison that you could make. I mean, literally, they do look alike, and they were built to be alike, but the asphalt probably makes them the biggest difference on them. That there was never, from the time that the track in Fontana was built, it never had grip, even as a new surface, and it was just so totally different. I think the banking's actually a little different, but yeah, they don't even race anywhere close to the same.
Justin Allgaier, who has a win already this year, hasn't won here before. Second is his best, but certain. Right now, currently, he is the fastest with 6 minutes to go in practice. Less than 3.5 minutes remaining of practice for the Xfinity Series here in Michigan. The Irish hills of Michigan. You see the beautiful green trees and rolling hills off the back stretch here at this racetrack. You also see the wind blowing down the front stretch. And DJ, you were saying to me earlier that that can get a little bit scary as we look at Brett Moffitt here in the 25. More speed going into turn number 1 with that wind behind you. Yeah,
just what you need is a little extra help. It's like that you get in, you put your car in overdrive when you've got that wind blowing at your back heading down into turn 1. Because, it's almost wide open around here as it is. And so it really gets your attention.
One driver that is showing some impressive speed here in the Xfinity Series, who's a regular in the Truck Series, is Carson Hocevar. He's standing by with Kim.
That's right, Rick. Also a Michigan native, though never raced anything here at Michigan. You retired early from practice. Car must be good. What kind of feedback was it giving you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to drive a lot of really good race cars, and this year's been really good with a really fast truck. And out NBC Sports and be able to unload here at a track I've never ran before. I was home. I have a lot of family and friends and Premier Security based out of Michigan. I've been here as a fan. I've rooted on Dale Jr. for the longest time here. And, you know, that was my guy. Just coming here and watching the race, and then been here as a fan for sponsor appearances and everything. But finally have a race suit on and unload 6 is really, really meaningful. Something I don't take for granted at all. To unload here and, you know, have speed right off the get-go. It's really, really cool just how good these race cars are. Just hopefully we can get a good show. And we stopped early because I felt so good about it. I felt so good in race trim. I wanted to keep my mind fresh for qualifying and not have in my mind 20-lap old tires, 30-lap old tires. I think our race car is really good. So qualifying is going to be important. So hopefully I can just kind of pony up and keep my foot down. And there's always a little bit of disconnect brain to foot. So hopefully it stays down and we can get a good lap.
And Junior, you heard Carson talk about coming here to watch you. He told me earlier in the day he came here for 4 years straight hoping you would get to victory lane. You didn't, and then the next year he didn't come and you found the checkered flag. So he was a little disappointed as a kid, but said it's really, really cool to be here at his home track.
Yeah, that was there was a lot of fans in Junior Nation that had that experience. They missed a lot of races that we should have won, but yeah, I've really enjoyed getting to know him a little bit more. It's you know, Carson is a young talent with a lot of guts and determination, but you know, sort of like Sam and a lot of these young drivers, there's some racecraft that's still yet to be defined and refined, I suppose. And we all know that he's had some incidents that, you know, maybe he certainly regrets, that sort of created a bad reputation for him. He was, you know, getting some crashes, intentionally wrecking a few people. And I told him, I said, man, you got to change that. That is going to be difficult for future owners to wrap their brain around, right, when you get in their car and do those type of things. And I'm glad that it seems like he's taken that to heart. And I'm sure I'm not the only person giving him that information and advice, but he is really fast in everything he drives, not just trucks, Xfinity. When he goes and runs super late models, dirt cars, he has talent and speed. It's there, and it's just about sort of polishing it. And whoever gets to work with him going forward, I think, is going to have a lot of success.
Yeah, he's been on the short list of a lot of owners, I think, that have thought about, well, I'd love to have him behind the wheel of my vehicle, be it a truck, Xfinity car, or even a Cup car. There's been rumors of that as well. Hometown is 90 miles west of here, a little bit closer to Lake Michigan, Portage, Michigan. But here running the Xfinity Series, and kind of smiled when he said hadn't run this race before. So we'll see his talent as practice is done. Qualifying will be next. Busy weekend here, and that's a beautiful shot of the lake just a couple miles away from the racetrack. But Saturday, Cup practice and qualifying on USA at 12:30, then countdown to Green and Xfinity Series racing. That's on NBC and Peacock in 3 o'clock and 3:30. And on Sunday, back on USA, it is countdown to Green and Cup Series racing, 2 and 2:30. So a lot of racing taking place this weekend, and a lot of speed that we will see here at the racetrack. I want to take a look at the top 10 in practice, and this is top 10 for a lap. Maybe pull a couple guys out as you think might be competitive, not only for the pole, but maybe for the race as we look at this list.
Well, Ty Gibbs in the 19 in third there. I think he looks the best. When I look at lap times over the course of a 20-25 lap run, Ty Gibbs, John Hunter Nemechek jump off the page. I think Josh Berry's got some decent speed. Justin Allgaier's got good speed as well, but a little inconsistent, dealing with a lot of lap traffic or slower cars out on the racetrack in practice. Kind of muddied up his times a little bit, but those 4 cars seem to be doing really well.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier ran a lot of laps, and I thought he looked pretty good. He had a couple of laps there where he was dealing with other cars that kind of messed up his average speed in that, but I thought, you know, especially for the Chevrolet, it looked good. But look at the 2 Fords that are up there. Cole Custer and Riley Herbst, they've got speed. You know, we know that, you know, this is a great racetrack over the years for Fords, especially in the Cup Series. But these guys are each and every week bringing some speed and see if they can get the job done.
Kim, what about the driver of the 66 and Sage Karam?
Yeah, he's coming off a 4th place finish last weekend at Road America with Sam Hunt Racing. This weekend running for NBM, and he said that he found out he was doing this race 3 days ago, so had to prepare quickly, and he felt like last week probably helped him get this weekend's opportunity. And I asked him, what did last weekend's performance do for you as a driver? And he said this year he was expecting a lot more out of his season that he's had to piece together, but he's had a bad season. He said it's bad luck, bad circumstances, just a number of things, and his confidence got rattled as a driver from all of that. It took a big hit, and so last weekend reassured him that he can do this, that he has the talent and the ability to be racing and racing up front in this series with these drivers that we see each and every week. First task at hand, though, is to qualify. We talk so much about, starting position and who gets the pole, but some of these drivers have to qualify into the race, Sage being one of those drivers. So the task at hand, he's going to make his qualifying lap here shortly, but a great run last weekend showing the talent that young driver has.
Confidence, that is definitely a big deal. As we see the drivers of the 39 and 28, they just got here, by the way. Ryan Sieg and Kyle Sieg, their cars just came, so they weren't able to get out on practice. We'll have qualifying when we come back. Cars rolling down pit road. What's at stake? Well, a win here at Michigan. And if you look back, the last 12 races run here, it's been 12 different drivers. So think about that. From Brad Keselowski back in 2010 all the way to Ty Gibbs in 2022. And I pick out a name in the middle there, Daniel Suarez in 2016. Think about that. He was coming off the Drive for Diversity program and has had the success that he's had. Now he's won at the Cup Series level. Well, there's another young driver that is going through NASCAR's Drive for Diversity driver development program, a 14-year-old by the name of Nathan Lyons. And Nathan Lyons earlier just earned his first victory with Rev Racing in the summer shootout at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He ended up the season with quite a few top 5s and 10s, finishing 3rd overall in the points. And Rev Racing has helped quite a few drivers make their way from the Legend cars all the way up into the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and even on into the Cup Series. And you look at some of the notable drivers that have been a part of the Drive for Diversity. Bubba Wallace right there at the top of the list. Kyle Larson, a champion at the Cup Series level. Daniel Suarez, Haley Deegan, Nick Sanchez, Raja Karuth. Just so many big names that have forged a path for drivers to go from maybe the Legend Series and from a small town somewhere to the successes that they've had. You think we look at Nathan Lyons. Here was a young man, started racing at 6 from Texas, and their family decided, you know what, if you're going to pursue this dream, we're going to take you right into the hub of NASCAR. And so they moved to Concord, and already he's having great success. But there's been a lot of drivers that have done that, where they've just uprooted the family and said, we need to go where racing is the best.
Yeah, it's happened. But the great thing is now there is a program there to help these young people get involved in this. We know for years how hard it is to break into this sport and get yourself in a position to move forward. And what NASCAR has done in helping this is a great thing. And you keep seeing opportunities come along, and you appreciate the efforts that families are making to do this. I know that Matt DiBenedetto came along, and he wasn't part of the Drive for Diversity, but his family picked up from California, moved to Hickory, North Carolina to help him with his racing career. That's the only reason that they moved. So to have this opportunity, there are great race drivers out here that just don't ever get the opportunity to show that. So I applaud them for doing this.
Yeah, I like the program because it reaches deep into the grassroots level. The Legends cars, late model stocks, it's a true pathway to gain the proper experience, right? To get to an ARCA and a truck level and be seasoned and understand all the things you need to know about racing. So it's doing some good work at the local level as well.
We see the 74, Dawson Cram, on the clock now. And while he's making his lap, let's go to Kim Kuhn.
And Brett Moffitt has the fastest 5 consecutive lap average during practice. How's that going to translate to qualifying? And what kind of disadvantage are you at going the first half?
Yeah, our fire-off speed was really good. I was happy about that in our number 25 AM Technical Solutions Airbox Ford Mustang. But we do have to go out early, so it's going to be a little hard to judge how much speed the track has in it. Also, I think it might be cooling down a little bit as we go. But great way to start practice. Hopefully we can back that up here in qualifying. It's all about track position here. So stay up front and hopefully have a good shot come tomorrow.
Brett Moffitt currently sitting 82 points behind that elimination line for the playoffs.
Yeah, 15th, but as you mentioned, that number 82, pretty steep hill in front of him if he wants to make that 12-car playoff field.
And he makes mention of how this track is getting faster. It's around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The track usually peaks around 4 to 5 o'clock. It could be about 1/10 to 2/10 of a swing in speed, gaining speed throughout this process of qualifying. So the guys going out early, like Carson, will be at a bit of a disadvantage. So if they do lay down a really good lap, allow to put themselves toward the front of the field, that'll be an impressive job early in qualifying.
When Kim was talking to him, I noticed Carson Hocevar, he's a little bit taller. Is that difficult?
Yeah.
Is it more difficult to be a taller race car driver?
Not as difficult now as it used to be. I mean, whenever I came along at 6'2", and you think about Michael Waltrip at 6'5", we couldn't move anything around in these cars. The roll cage was a certain distance away, and you were, as a driver like that, you were cramped in there. And Carson Hocevar just put out a really good lap right there. And I like the ability he has. He was talking about he didn't need to run any more laps. I mean, he's got that speed. I'm not going to liken him to Mark Martin yet, who could just go out and put down a lap. But Carson is able to do that. But these cars, being taller now in the cars, I think is a lot more comfortable.
I was watching the replay of your win here with the Wood brothers and your in-car camera, and you took every bit of that interior of the cockpit up. Your knees are up in the top of the steering wheel trying to drive that thing home.
It took every bit of anything and everything that I had in my 6'2" frame to beat Davey Allison that day. I know that. So.
Here's Stephen Parsons finishing up his lap, and we're seeing a lot of the drivers take to the apron there. We reference that win that we had talked about before as we flash back.
Walk us through this, DJ.
Yeah, we stayed on the same tires. Eddie Wood made a call, so I was on older tires, and as we came here, I got really close there. I just was trying to take some out. I'd seen your dad do that, and that's why I was kind of doing it. I didn't know what the hell it might do, but it seemed like the right thing. He was doing it. But we actually touched a little bit there, but it was just an incredible call to even give an opportunity there that weekend. And, huge win, obviously, for me. You never forget that first one, and to get that with the Wood brothers.
Here's Sage Karam on track now, and you saw in person the 4th place finish for Sage Karam a week ago at Road America. He's very talented. Obviously, Sage Karam has open wheel experience, but he's also really starting to come into his own in a stock car.
Yeah, I really thought that he was the one that was set up in all of that as they were all trying so hard that last lap and a half. That I thought he'd put himself in position to win that race. And I think the excitement of it, and probably looking in the mirror was one thing. I would just guess, without actually being able to see his eyes, that maybe he glanced there and that got him off track a little bit. But he did a great job, and he's got a tremendous amount of talent, whether it's on a road course or an oval.
Yeah, I want to commend him, too, on his patience in that situation. He had a wind staring him right in the face, right? And his level of aggression, I think, was just the right amount. He could have pushed a lot of people out of the way to win that race and never had to apologize for it. No. But he raced really smart, really clean there at the end with that opportunity in front of him. I was pretty surprised and impressed by that.
Mason Maggio on the clock now, a 19-year-old out of Palm Beach Garden, Florida. Only his 4th potential start here, depending upon how he does in qualifying. And Mason puts up the 3rd fastest lap of the 5 that have gone.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, and we were talking about Sam Mayer, being 20 and started every he's not. I didn't drive a race car until I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
So and I realized this sport has just exploded, and young people seeing opportunities now, and they get that chance to start so young. But to get in situations like this that young.
Both of you two also coming with fathers that had such amazing success at the racetrack, and yet it didn't seem as though your dads were really pushing you into the sport. I mean, Junior, you've talked about it, that he would tell you to go work on the car, but he wasn't saying you need to be racing.
Now, I begged my dad to put me in a race car, and he would give me a broom. That was, he said, here's your route. Here's the path.
Okay.
He's like, sweep the floor first, and then I might think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad
the same way.
Yeah, he was never pushed me to do it. You know, I played a lot of other sports, and you know, I think he and my mom would gladly drive me to any football field or golf course or wherever I wanted to go. You know, to do that. Not that they didn't appreciate this sport and all that it had done, but yeah, it wasn't something once I made that decision, then he was behind me 100%.
Yeah, interesting. You know, some of these drivers that we've seen. You know, Joey Logano and how early he started, and a lot of these drivers have just grown up. We've watched them grow up and mature. You know, now Joey Logano, a two-time champion in the sport, but still, I don't even know, is Joey Logano 30 years old yet?
I don't know. I feel like he should be 50 as long as he seems like he's been driving these cars. But, you know, just how good he was then and how much better. I mean, what a talent he is behind the wheels. Just incredible. Just shows what getting in situations and getting when you have that level of talent and you can get yourself in good situations, how good you can become.
We saw Jeffrey Earnhardt just put up the lap 39.60, and that is 6th fastest. McLaughlin was 7th fastest at 39.74. Here's Mason Massey in the 44, and you see him tracking just about 0.2 of a second off of what Carson Hocevar was able to run.
Yeah, this is a teammate to Jeffrey at Alpha Prime Racing. They have a handful of cars out here today trying to compete. Jeffrey will be a little disappointed in that lap, but this is a much better lap for the 44 out of that camp.
Oh, got really loose right there, though.
He's still going to have a little bit better lap than Jeffrey.
About a second off of what Carson posted. That's looking more and more like an incredible lap that we've seen out of Hocevar. Kim.
And Sammy Smith ran a handful of races last year. This was one of them. And I know there's an advantage to coming back to a track a second time. What did you learn last year that's going to help you both in qualifying and tomorrow?
Yeah, a lot of things. Not to speed on paper. We had a really fast Power Flying J Toyota Jura Super last year, and I think it's as fast as Xfinity 10G this year as well. So I think we're faster in practice, and hopefully we can go do it again in qualifying.
Sammy Smith's going to climb aboard his Toyota and make a qualifying lap here at Michigan.
Something we're starting to see out of him on a regular basis is speed. Yeah. You know, when he first came in, I think we all knew the short track talents that he had, but now we're seeing everywhere he goes the speed.
The expectations are high for Sammy because he's driving such great equipment at Joe Gibbs Racing, and I think again that's another example of us needing to be patient, right, with a driver that's developing and trying to find his way and understanding what kind of, what he can expect out of these race cars. Trying not to make mistakes, but also being fast is a hard thing to do for a young driver.
Patrick Emmerling goes 39.62, so that is 8th quickest of the 9 that have been out there. And so many times as we talk about grassroots racing and coming up through the ranks, you start on a short track, and your local half mile or whatever it is, but it's short track. How difficult is it to make the transition to a place where you're going nearly 200 miles an hour in a stock car?
It was really hard, I think, when DJ and me were coming in because we didn't have simulators, right? Where these drivers, it's not exactly replicating the real thing, but trying to, being able to go run a simulator all week long and get a bit of understanding about the level of grip to expect. And when you get in these cars and go out there and do the real thing, you have a sense of deja vu with the with going around the racetrack after the sim. So it's pretty impressive what these drivers can do these days.
Yeah, and I don't remember the year, but I'm pretty sure it was your first year of racing an Xfinity car Busch Series here, and I raced around you a lot that day, and I actually remember asking my crew, are you sure that's Dale Jr. and not his dad in that car? That's how good he was and how much they drove alike.
How quickly. Garrett Smithley, pretty quick on his lap. 39 flat. John Henry Nemechek, I don't know if he's actually pushing the car. Well, maybe he's helping. He'll be going out here shortly as well. Ryan Ellis in the 43 out on track for his qualifying run. And NASCAR has just informed us that the 39 and 28, they're actually going to slot back into the the positions they were supposed to be in for qualifying. And to tell the backstory on that, their hauler broke down last night. And so at 8 o'clock this morning, they had called NASCAR and said, you know, we're 6 hours away. We don't know if we can get there in time. And literally at 3 o'clock, their hauler rolled across the track. They opened the gate, the back gate here, rolled across the track. They rolled in, and they said that they could go at the end of qualifying. They actually did get out for a couple laps of practice. So they said, hey, we're ready to go. We'll go in our spots. So pretty cool that they were able to get all of that accomplished and get into their original spots for qualifying. With more on this driver, here's Kim.
Yeah, Rick, today it was announced that Ryan Ellis will run a full season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2024 for Alpha Prime Racing. And it just goes to show you that betting on yourself can turn into big opportunities. Rewind January 2014. Ryan had a big decision to make. He was at a crossroads. Does he finish school or does he continue his career in NASCAR? He flipped a coin. It landed on North Carolina. He left Virginia, moved to Mooresville, North Carolina with a dream, knowing nobody, and 10 years later it's paying off. I talked to him before he hopped in the car about what the opportunity means. He said, this doesn't sound glamorous. I just feel complete relief. Looking forward to see what he does next year in that car.
Yeah, pretty cool story. I mean, we mentioned it, other people uprooting their families to chase after this dream. As we see Kyle Sieg, the younger of the two Sieg brothers, that will be out qualifying today.
I'm impressed by them being able to get their hauler. We were sitting here starting this show for qualifying and watching, starting practice and watching that hauler pull across the backstretch gate. They get in, they run some laps in practice, and now their cars are out here qualifying in position.
Second fastest for, yeah, Kyle Sieg. Very impressive. What about Ty Gibbs? What are we expecting? Is this a pole run?
It's a pole run. This is a win. I mean, nothing, nothing else is good enough. You know, when he shows up or any Cup driver shows up to this series to run, they expect to be at the top of the sheet, practice, qualifying, and at the end of the race. Right now, he's trending a little bit off Carson down the back straightaway. He's starting to gain a little bit more.
Do you think it's habit that he reached
drive
down
with his knee?
Yeah, or put his hand on the shifter? Because in the Cup Series, they're shifting now.
Yeah.
But in the Xfinity Series, you're not going to see him downshift.
What he was doing there, with the right hand, he's closing off a duct, which is basically going to allow the air to not travel inside the car. And now he's putting his hand out the window to knock air off the rear spoilers. So he's driving with his knee. NASCAR won't really love to see that, but he's doing everything he can. Hey, it's a guy. He thinks it matters, right? And he's going to do it. I like the attitude, right? If it matters, I'm going to do it. If you think I can help myself, even these little tiny things, all of those things add up to speed. You know, a lot of teams try to build race cars and they want one big chunk. Give me one piece that's going to make us fast. It's a bunch of little pieces, right? And it's little things like that the driver can do as well to help their team succeed.
Gibbs second fastest with that qualifying run. Kim.
So let's get Cole Custer's perspective. How much of this qualifying lap at Michigan is in the driver's hands? How much can you do versus just outright open throttle time?
No, I think there's a lot you can do as a driver. I mean, we're actually off throttle a pretty good amount. I mean, we were all the way out of the gas and race trim there. So you can definitely hit it wrong here. So you definitely got to do your job as a driver. Felt like our Haas Animation Ford Mustang was solid in practice. Just needed that a little bit more, but I feel like we're going to have a good car here for qualifying and hopefully translate to the race.
Pretty good run for Kyle Weatherman.
Yeah.
Third quickest on his qualifying run. As we see Connor Mozak now will be on the clock here as he crosses the stripe.
Connor continuing to get more opportunities to run in this series at different types of racetracks. A lot of talent this young man has too.
He's behind the wheel of a Toyota. How much is manufacturer pressure when you come to Michigan and you're just down the road from Detroit?
Well, I think that for a driver like Connor, he looks at the manufacturer connection as the reason he gets to do this, right? I don't think he feels like this sort of pressure to perform for a manufacturer. It's really the reason he's here. Toyota's behind him, supporting him, giving him these opportunities. So it's a little bit different, and I think it used to be years ago when, you know, the car manufacturers in Detroit were so synonymous. But now it's more about, you know, Chevrolet, Toyota. They have drivers in their pipeline. this is how they're getting these opportunities and how we're able to see what they can do out on the racetrack.
Yeah, I didn't ever feel that it was more pressure to me. I just felt like the amount of pride when you could run well. And if you couldn't win the race, you wanted to be the first in your class. You know, you wanted to be the first Ford, the first Chevrolet. You had to be that. But obviously taking those executives to victory lane was also very beneficial.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. At the Hall of Fame, it's so much fun because we have Ford in that voting panel, and I just think this is pretty cool that you have that stature person who received Brett Moffitt third fastest.
Yeah, he did a good job. Obviously had some speed in practice. One thing I noticed on Brett's time when we watched the ticker coming off of turn 4, Carson Hocevar's lap is vulnerable from the exit of 4. So everybody's been able to come off of 4 and beat him to the flag. Whatever happened for Carson off of 4, he had to lift a little bit, got tight, loose, whatever. If we see somebody at least matching Carson off of 4, I believe they beat him in time to the flag. So that's something to keep an eye on if you're driving when we're watching this little tracker at the bottom of the screen.
Joe Graff Jr. on the clock, and we mentioned Ryan Sieg was on the clock as far as getting their vehicles here. He's now standing by with Kim.
That's right, Rick. Hauler breaking down, and there was a bit of a scramble. So from your perspective, what was the anxiety like? What kind of role did you play in this?
I had to do a lot of phone calls yesterday to try to find another hauler and figure out a plan to get here on time, but we still just behind with traffic and stuff like that. But we were able to bring our old hauler from last year and get it all here and scramble to get through tech and then go out to made a few laps. But it's a nerve-wracking just to throws everything off. So I was just thrown off just getting him in the car and hopefully everything's okay. Hopefully everybody did everything right, because luckily the past couple of weeks we've struggled with just, unfortunate things happening to us. So it's definitely nerve-wracking.
Hopefully the end of the bad luck for this team over at RSS Racing.
The good thing is he had a smile on his face when he was talking about it. We see Jeremy Clements out there. Joe Graff Jr. was 8th on his qualifying run at 39.19. Jeremy Clements, I always, when I look at Ryan Sieg, he's got his own team. Jeremy Clements, their own team. I look at, and I almost kind of group these guys together, and I say, okay, the families have put so much into these race teams, and it's almost like each week we see them racing against each other. You always see Jeremy Clements and Ryan Sieg fighting for position on the racetrack.
Yeah. It's kind of what this series was built on. Many of us had our own teams. You go back to Jack Ingram and Tommy Ellis and Sam Ard and those people. Those were cars that they owned and worked on and took them to the track and drove them each and every week.
Chandler Smith on the clock, and let's go back to last week. Yes,
gosh,
this was scary here. Thought he had run out of brakes. Well, you see the brakes explode there, so the only way for him to slow down was to run into the wall.
Yeah, he drives it over there and pounds the retaining wall to slow the car down. And you were there, DJ, and seeing the driver get out and question himself, and everybody's like, "Oh man, you do whatever you think you need to do." He's very, very hard. He was able to stand in the garage as he gets the pole there with that speed of a 38.32. He stands in the garage next to that Torp race car and starts questioning his decision. But I'm telling you, man, you got to do whatever you think you need to do at the end of in those situations. And just like a win can teach a driver a lesson, like Sam Mayer winning that first race. A lot of these young drivers, when they go through a situation like that teaches them a lot of respect for these cars too. When you lose control of a race car, or the brakes fail, and you're in a very vulnerable situation where you really have little to do with what's about to happen, it gives you a respect for how fast you're going, and how treacherous and dangerous it is. I think that a lot of the young guys, we always used to joke about some of the young talent coming into this series or the truck series and go, "Man, that guy is fast." And we'd always laugh and say, "Well, he hasn't hit nothing hard yet."
That's right.
Blaine Perkins, 20th for his qualifying run. Austin Hill, Parker Kligerman, they're still talking about, it looked like hammer down. Wide open is what they're thinking about. Jump into the exciting, intense, and uplifting world of first responders, police, firefighters, and dispatchers. They face heart-stopping situations and save the day. The 911 Marathon is next on USA. There's a good look of Wampler's Lake. A great place there. Jerry's Pub and Restaurant has been so kind to us, and really a stop that we always yearly make there just because of the people are just wonderful to us. So we had a little bit of fun with the crew yesterday.
Yeah, had some good food.
Yep.
A lot of laughs.
A lot of laughs.
Lots of laughs.
I think you're still poking me on certain, like, because I wear a hook on my hat.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore.
No, it's good.
Okay.
I was going to order you a couple more. On Amazon.
Okay. All right. Brennan Poole on the clock now.
Brandon's in a JD Motorsports car, a couple of those cars in the field as well, as we see each and every week. Going to be a little disappointed with this lap here. 19th on the board out of 21 cars that have ran.
Kim, it looks like you're standing by with a Xfinity Series champion.
I am. That would be Daniel Hemrick, Rick. And I was asking him how his car was in practice, how he thinks it's going to fare in qualifying. And he told me, quote, it's almost too comfortable. How can a car be too comfortable?
In a place here like Michigan where you carry so much speed, if you find yourself on the snug side, which kind of makes you in the driver's seat pretty comfortable, that's where the too comfortable came from. I was just a little too tight, and they able to carry a little bit more speed, a little bit more on the edge in order to get a little more speed in this Chevrolet Accessories Camaro. But yeah, cool part is we get to tape it up. Everybody gets to go run a lap, hopefully as fast as Xfinity 10G Internet here with this 11 group. And yeah, we'll probably put me a little bit more on the edge. I expect usually when I open my mouth and I make a comment like that, they take a huge swing at it. So I'm sure by the time I get out here running this lap, I'll be holding my breath.
All right, loose as fast is the word from Daniel Hemrick.
11th fastest for Josh Williams in that 92. And now 22 have already been on track for qualifying. Anthony Alfredo is next on the clock.
I have to say I never had a ton of success in going and trying to loosen my car up. You're already going to put more tape, do everything a little bit more, and get the most. And every time I tried to loosen it up, we sure loosened it up, but it didn't seem to benefit me quite as much.
Paid the price.
That snug, I like that. You know, they gave bigger trophies and bigger checks for the race, so I like to get to there.
Pretty good lap there for Alfredo. Lost a little bit of time here through turn 3 and 4, but I think he'll still be pretty happy with this.
Yeah, good lap.
0.3 of a second off of what Chandler Smith has run, so that is 5th quickest. And Kim's with Cash.
And Kaz Gralla coming off a great run at Road America, 7th place finish. SHR really showing up. But this weekend is totally different. So what carries over in terms of whether it's an injection of momentum, just confidence? What can you carry over?
Definitely confidence as a team. You know, everyone's pumped up from last weekend. This weekend is a different animal. But I think our Toyota Genuine Parts Supra is pretty good here, honestly. I think we might be as fast as Xfinity 10G. We worked on some stuff in practice. I think we're going to go a little more that direction here for qualifying and for the race. But I like the stability we have in our Supra. I think it'll race really well. I think it'll be good on restarts. If we can get the front end in the track a little bit more for turn, then I think our pace will be there and we'll have a shot at it this weekend.
And guys, talking with the team earlier today that say that 4th and 7th place finish from Road America last week, a feather in the cap is how they described it.
Hard earned. As we see Sammy Smith slot that number 18 in 4th right now.
You know, you talk about those two teams, their finishes, they ran up there the entire race too last week. That was very impressive.
Here's Sheldon Creed in the 2. And Sheldon Creed starts off in the green as he goes into turns 1 and 2.
Up the racetrack here a little bit. I don't know if he can finish the corner. See, he loses a little bit of time there.
Yeah, Dale, you were talking about the seams earlier not really affecting you here. That was the only place as you exit turn 2 that I ever found that you could, if your car is just going out there and you hit that one, boy, it's like you lose the front of the car there very quickly. But the rest of them don't seem to bother you really much.
No, he had a really good turn 3 and 4 though. So, yeah, you know,
came back.
Certainly has some good speed in that car. He's going to slide in a 6th, and he needs a great run. 12th in points right there at the bubble, right at the cut line above Parker Kligerman.
Yeah, those two separated by 22 points, Sheldon Creed and Parker Kligerman. And Creed still searching for that win.
Yeah.
That one win, it's been so elusive. He's shown speed, just has not been able to finish it out. As on the other side of the spectrum, John Hunter Nemechek already 4 times has been to victory lane this year and has shown his talent behind the wheel.
I think this car is a car that can win. Obviously, Ty Gibbs, his teammate's going to be tough to handle, but this car looked the best in practice to me. And he's right on top of the pole, going down into turn 3 and 4, backs up entry to 3. He's going to try to finish the corner strong. He's still losing time here, and I don't think he gains that 10th all the way back to the flag stand. For whatever reason, they're just not able to get through 3 and 4 back to the throttle like he wanted to.
So Nemechek is 5th quickest. The fastest in practice earlier was Justin Allgaier. Is he feeling confident, Kim?
Well, I'm trying to find out because he's looking at the top of the board. You have Chandler Smith, Carson Hocevar. He described those drivers as young and brave. If that's what you need to qualify well here at Michigan, what do you have to offer?
A lot of gray hair, so old and maybe experienced, I guess, would be the best answer. But you're really just proud of this team, the effort they put in. I mean, everybody at Junior Motorsports. Our Brent Fresh on Ultra Camaro is really good today. Qualifying is going to be difficult. Just those are really good laps. I mean, just looking at the times and really, really tight. So, no mistakes. But the Hendrick Engine Shop, everybody Chevrolet. I mean, just the effort that Jim Pullman and these whole 7 guys have put in is really impressive. So today starts tomorrow. We need to qualify good today to be able to have a good day tomorrow, and I think we can do that. But my daughter's birthday is coming up this week, so she's not here though. So I'm going to be disappointed if we do have a good weekend and she's not here to celebrate with us. But really excited to get to celebrate her birthday, and my wife and my youngest are here, so hopefully we get to have a little bit of fun tomorrow in the race.
So officially wish Harper happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday to Harper.
And Harper has been probably one of the biggest helmet designers for Justin over the last 3, 4, 5 years. She's always designed his helmet for the playoffs. You see Cole Custer here, and a great lap started there in 1 and 2.
Still hanging on really well. I didn't know if he finished the corner there well, but he's sitting right on top of that pole speed into turn 3. Can he do better than John Hunter Nemechek down here in 3 and 4 and be able to beat this lap? Again, it just shows you, I think, how well Smith got through turns 3 and 4. Some of the better cars that we think compete in this series, not able to go out there and match his lap. So, and another thing too, I think we need to acknowledge is Hocevar's lap. He went out 40 minutes ago. This track's getting a little bit quicker. We talked about it's probably about a 1/10 faster now than it was at the start of practice. So that lap continues to impress.
Yeah, Hocevar one of the first out on the racetrack, as we see now. Ryan Sieg, again, the story of the hauler breaking down, getting a backup hauler and being on the racetrack or, for practice, and literally probably 25 minutes prior to the start of practice, those cars were in a hauler and they were being brought across the racetrack. So they got here unloaded quick and were able to get out on the track. We'll see what Sieg has for this qualifying run.
Yeah, pretty good lap. And, and you talk about all of that, in other situations for some of these drivers, that happened to their team, they wouldn't have anything to do but just wait for them to put everything together. Well, Ryan and Kyle were in the middle of making all of that happen, unloading, getting everything ready, plus thinking ahead as to what they could do whenever it came time to get in the car.
And they qualify right there on top of each other in 13th, 12th, 13th position.
Yeah, Kyle in 12th, Ryan in 13th. And now we see Burton on the hood, or at the top of the windshield. That's Jeb Burton, son of Ward and cousin to Harrison Burton.
Look at that side skirt moving around, kind of bending back underneath the race car. Teams design those things to flex and go a certain direction when they touch the racetrack and get moved around to an advantage.
A win at Talladega has Jeb Burton comfortably in the 12-car playoff field, and he is slotted in 14th for this qualifying session. Still quite a few cars yet to go. Ross Chastain standing there with most recent winner and Sam Mayer. Those two still to go. Final 10 cars in Xfinity Series qualifying from here at Michigan. And this one is Brandon Jones, who will be coming around to be on the clock. Brandon in practice was 15th fastest. 39.30 is the lap that he turned. Again, in practice, we'll see how close he can get to what Chandler Smith has posted.
Gave up a little bit of time off into the corner. Faster through the middle, but losing a little bit of time down the back straightaway here again.
It's one of those drivers there sitting outside the cut line right now for the playoffs that we certainly thought would be a part of that, but as the season started, but so many problems. Looks like it might take a win to make it in there.
I agree with you. I think it takes a win. They have to race to win. Strategy to win. It's been a dreadful year trying to get results for Brandon and this team.
When you say dreadful, I mean, you guys, you give them every possible tool to get to victory lane.
Yeah.
But things just aren't working out, and wrong place, wrong time a lot of times with Brandon.
Well, you know, he's had success in the past. I mean, he's had some great years in the Xfinity Series and ran some incredible races, and for whatever reason, we haven't been able to put him in his position to succeed. So I take a lot of responsibility as that. You know, when our cars don't perform, you know, I take a lot of responsibility that you know, the chemistry's not where it needs to be. But we're always trying to work and improve, and I think eventually we're going to figure it out with Brandon. Daniel Hemrick's out on the racetrack here, running about the same kind of a lap that we just saw from Brandon Jones in this number 11. He's going to drop in there at 10th.
10th fastest for Daniel Hemrick.
Yeah, just 2/10 off of the fast lap here. That just shows you how tight this Xfinity field is.
Yeah.
Will this cloud cover help these guys that are going out right now? We're getting a little bit of cloud cover over the racetrack.
This has always been one of the tracks when we were qualifying for the Cup Series, DJ, that you tried to stall, or you were always watching that sky for the opportunity to run on, you know, under an overcast or cloudy situation. It was certainly going to make the track at least another 10th faster. At least in your mind, you were going to drive the car harder.
That's the whole thing with me. I think it had more to do with the driver's mindset than it did with the actual track cooling down. But you'll take every little thing you can get.
Yeah, it felt like you had more grip, so
yeah, you
went for it.
You thought there would be more grip, so you were going to go in there deeper than you had planned.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, that's all you need as a driver, is to be coerced into doing what you're supposed to go do, right?
Fast as you possibly can go, as we see Kaz Gralla in the 26. Kaz was 18th fastest as Justin Allgaier goes out now. Can he back up what we saw in practice?
He did a good job getting off of turn 4 down the front straightaway, giving himself a bit of an advantage, an opportunity here. Right now, can he close off? He's got a good 1 and 2.
That's the fastest we've seen anybody get through 1 and 2.
But nobody's beat the 16.
As you pointed out, he did a great
4.
job, better job than anybody else coming to get the green.
Car's bottoming out.
Yeah.
Still going the right direction. Now he's going the other way. Can he keep it? He's got a 10th.
That was a heck of a job.
Yeah.
Allgaier to the stripe, and he's fastest. 38.23. Chandler Smith's going, darn it, thought I had that thing.
How'd he do that?
Yep.
And by the way, Justin Allgaier's 37 years old. He was talking about the young guys doing some crazy things out there. Well, the 37-year-old just showed them all.
Justin has always got that sort of just ability to go drive a fast lap whenever he needs one. He's really aggressive on restarts. You wouldn't think that a guy 37 would drive with the aggression that he does.
Riley Herbst out on track now, and we see a pretty good lap here for him as well as he's closing in 3 and 4. Was an entry and now has lost a little of it through the center.
Still a really solid lap here.
Yeah, I think that Justin didn't quite get off of turn 4 as good as, and you can see it right there as Herbst gains all the way from the center of 3 and 4 all the way to the flag stand. So again, we're in a situation where if we see a driver that's pretty even entering turn 3, they've got a great shot at beating Justin off of turn 4 to the flag stand.
Talk about Riley Herbst last week coming from the back of the pack 2 different times from separate instants, and to end up gaining points to the cut line. Just an incredible job that he did last weekend.
Look at this.
Yeah, Riley Herbst currently 11th overall.
Josh Berry is on a lightning lap.
And Josh Berry, it looked as though he might have lost a little into 2, but then gained a lot down the backstretch. Can he hang on to it?
That's lower than anybody's been right through the center of the corner on the exit there. Look.
He's getting faster. What a lap by Josh Berry. Right now, the Junior Motorsports cars 1 and 2 with Berry and Allgaier.
What a lap.
Wow.
Only car in the 37s. You love doing that.
Yeah.
Man, when you go out there and qualify and you're the only car in that other second bracket, it's something else.
Especially at a place where the speeds are so high. Everybody's going fast, but then you separate yourself even more.
Here's Parker Kligerman. He was another one of those drivers that was up front at Road America with 2 laps to go, and everyone thought there was a chance that Parker Kligerman could get to victory lane at Road America, but he also found a corner a little bit quicker than he probably should have and ended up getting off track.
Yeah, it seemed like we had 10 different leaders in the last lap and a half of that. It was just such an amazing race and finish.
Half a second off here for Kligerman compared to the lap that Josh Berry posted.
Yeah, just 6, 7 cars ago, that wasn't going to be that bad of a lap when you look at the speed and the time. But after the Dale Juniors cars went out there, the whole landscape changed.
It did. The bar got raised, and now Kligerman 14th quickest, as just 3 still to qualify. The next on the clock will be Ross Chastain.
And I'm excited to see Ross back in this series. He was fun as a regular in the Xfinity series to watch as a fan and a broadcaster, and I think that he's going to have a good time tomorrow driving this car.
10 fielded by Kaulig Racing. And into 1 and 2, about a 1/10 of a second, going the wrong direction.
A little tire rub there with the, I believe, the left rear tire. Nothing to worry about, just something I know the teams will pay attention to when the car gets back to the pits. Up the racetrack a little bit further than most in turn 3 and 4.
A little bit further around this 2-mile oval, and it'll translate into about a half second slower than what Berry was able to put up there, and that has him in 9th right now. Sam Mayer from a week ago got his first win. As you see Josh Berry climbing out of the car, the fastest so far. Sam Mayer, Austin Hill, the final 2. Good celebration for the organization this week for Sam Mayer.
Yeah, we did our traditional toast. He had chocolate milk. Everyone else was drinking beer, but rang the bell, victory bell that we always do, a tradition we gained from Hendrick Motorsports. And I asked Sam, I said, how's the week been? He's like, it's been the same. It's like any other week. And he likes it that way. He doesn't really want to change or disrupt his schedule or his process. But I know he said he's 15 pounds lighter, having all the pressure off his shoulders, now having that first win under his belt.
It looks like Sam now has put another junior. There's that ringing the bell.
And if you'll notice, man, I really give it a good ring. I tell everybody, I'm like, you ring that bell, you never know when it might be the last chance you get to do that. Ring the heck out of it.
You got to feel pretty good right now. Berry, Allgaier, and Mayer, 1, 2, 3 in this lineup.
Well, regardless of where we shake out with the final few cars here going, I'm proud of Junior Motorsports. And last year had an incredible season, won a lot of races, and up until halfway through this year hadn't won much at all. And people were wondering what had happened, where we were. The team has found speed. I think in the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've been really quick. You know, Pocono, road courses, can it sustain itself? We'll find out, but I'm very happy that they've been able to go out there and find the speed to put us back into the mix, give ourselves more opportunities to try to get wins.
Austin Hill, 0.2 of a second off, is going to break up that Junior Motorsports domination up there in the top 3. Austin Hill slotted in 3rd. Josh Berry is the fastest in Michigan, and a pretty impressive top 10. We'll come back and talk to the poll winner. Everyone took a lap, and the fastest one was Josh Berry at a 37.98. He'll lead the field to the green flag tomorrow, and he's standing by with Kim.
And his second pole on the 2023 season. And when I talked to your crew chief, Taylor Moyer, earlier, he said, you guys came here to make everybody else second guess what they brought. Do you feel like you showed that and you did that here in qualifying?
Yeah, no, I'm just, obviously the car was really solid in practice and obviously really solid in qualifying there. I'm just really proud of these guys, really proud of Taylor, Kevin, everybody on this 8 team. They've been working really hard. I'm not gonna lie, we let one get away 2 weeks ago, and every single one of us have thought about it every single day since then. And we wanted to come here and finish what we started a couple weeks ago. So just hats off to these guys, everybody back at Junior Motorsports. They've been working hard. The cars are faster, they're driving better. It's making it a lot of fun for me. Hendrick Motorsports engines have been phenomenal. Thank you, Mr. H, for everything you do for us, and it's exciting. Excited to have Lube Zone on the car. Mark Clark's been a long supporter of me, so we're going to do everything we can to put him in victory lane tomorrow.
Josh Berry holding back a smile. You can tell he's excited, the speed they have and the motivation they have to win here this weekend.
I want to take a look at the starting lineup. Again, we mentioned Berry and Allgaier. It is the 9th time that there's been a 1-2 start for Junior Motorsports. It's Josh Berry and Justin Allgaier this time in row 1.
Yeah, look at all 8 of those. You just think speed right there from those guys.
And on the second page here, you see a few of the Gibbs cars that I think will be very competitive in the race tomorrow. John Hunter in row 5. Ross Chastain back there in row 6.
A little further back in the lineup there, you see the brothers Kyle Sieg, Ryan Sieg. They make up row 11. Going back through row 16, Zanaggio and Dawson Cram. A few starts for Dawson. That team has continued to work to make races, and he has done it here at Michigan, as we see. Again, tomorrow, Cup practice and qualifying on USA at 12:30. The Xfinity Series is going to race on NBC and streaming on Peacock. That starts at 3 o'clock, the countdown to green. Xfinity Series racing after that. And on Sunday on USA, it's 2 o'clock, countdown to green, 2:30 Cup Series racing. So tomorrow, high speeds, but a lot of lines around this track, right? You can pass.
Yeah, opportunities. Yeah, as a driver, you can move around, and that's what you look for.
It's a lot of fun. This racetrack's wide, and as you see right there in practice, just a lot of different grooves for these cars. It's going to be a heck of a race to watch tomorrow.
Looking forward to tomorrow's race. And again, Berry and Allgaier making up row 1. Coming up next on USA, it's 911 Marathon. Stay with us.